Confirmed, the State Capture Commission is set to hand over its final report to President Cyril Ramaphosa on the 1st of January next year. The Deputy Chief Justice, as well as Commission Chair, that's Raymond Zondo, was granted a 5th extension to complete the investigation. The Commission has until the 31st of December to complete compiling the report. Here is Minister in the Presidency, Moss Ntlha, speaking at a briefing earlier today.
Cabinet remains encouraged that the justice system continues to take decisive steps to bring those who are found to have been involved in acts of corruption to account. The Commission of Inquiry into allegations of state capture, corruption and fraud in the public sector, including organs of state, is scheduled to submit its final report to President Cyril Ramaphosa on Saturday, 1st January 2022. Watch the space. Cabinet anticipates that in addition to exposing the perpetrators of corruption, this report will also provide us with proposal to strengthen our system to prevent corruption.
Well, around the world today, we're marking Anti-Corruption Day. The International Anti-Corruption Day is commemorated annually on the 9th of December in recognition of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, which was signed in Mexico in 2003. It's estimated that 5% of the world's GDP is lost to corruption. Let's talk about this then with Reverend Moss Ntlha from Defend Our Democracy. Reverend, a very good evening to you. Welcome to News at Prime. So I suppose quite fitting that this day is being marked in a week where we've seen increasing impatience with the pace at which the NPA is addressing allegations of corruption in the country. Do you share that impatience?
Correct. Definitely, I think there is impatience across the board, across the society. There's different sectors in our society, and we certainly, as Defend Our Democracy, do share that anxiety. We really want to the accountability. We just heard the Minister Ngubele talking about the Zondo Commission report coming up in January, and we really look forward to seeing accountability ensuing as a result of that report. I think our nation has been treated to several months of trauma in terms of what has been going on in different state institutions and business empires. And all of these are matters about which every South African is concerned. And we do look forward to accountability following up on that report.
You know, Reverend Ntlha, I beg your pardon, yesterday when the head of the NPA, Advocate Shamila Batoyi, was speaking to members of parliament, she said that, yes, the NPA understands the frustration with this apparent lack of progress in prosecuting especially the major cases that involve big political names in this country as far as corruption is concerned. But she said that the NPA cannot respond to pressure because that's how mistakes would creep in. Are you sympathetic to that predicament where the NPA says it wants to deal with corruption and prosecute the accused, but it also cannot move just because it wants to appease the public when an investigation perhaps has not gathered credible enough detail and evidence?
Correct. I don't think we're expecting miracles from the NPA. We're expecting a reasonable plan of action to bring those who have been implicated to book. We're expecting that there will be sufficient resources being deployed by the state on the NPA, person power, finances, anything that is necessary in order for the NPA to have the adequate capacity to do this. I think South Africans are looking for honesty, for clarity, for transparency around this process. And I think the complicating issue is that it seems that there is vast amounts of evidence, and people know the people who have been corrupt, and they see the lifestyles of people who have been corrupt, and the affluence flaunted in their faces. And why these people are not brought to book is a frustration on many people. But certainly we do have sympathy for the NPA's capacity constraints.
But that being said, you don't feel that the pressure is undue for them to wrap up these investigations?
No, I think the pressure should be kept up. Otherwise, if the pressure is reduced, historically we've seen that public institutions tend to relax. So I think there ought to be ongoing pressure to ensure that we arrive at the destination where we see orange overalls on the part of those that are implicated.
Let me ask you about the president then, Reverend, because he's also been accused of dragging his feet. Case in point, when the SIU handed over the Digital Vibes report, which implicated the now former health minister Zweli Mkhize in allegations to do with the improper awarding of that contract for communications to people who were told are the minister's close associates, the president sat on that report for quite a while, apparently applying his mind. Has he set the right example, the right tone as far as the urgency of the corruption emergency?
Correct. I think that the president's ways do not help. I think the South Africans have every reason to expect swift action. I mean, we had a near coup in July, where known state agencies were dragging their feet in terms of responding to the insurrection in July. And the same as in the case that you referred to with regard to Digital Vibes, there are signs that there isn't this sort of agency, this sort of actions that are taken on the part of those that are very clearly implicated. And often, instead of going straight to prison, they are given amnesty, or they are even redeployed to other state departments or things like that, which heighten the sense of insecurity, the sense of feeling that we do not have the confidence of our public institutions. And so that is bad for confidence on the ground, and not to mention confidence by investors.
And the problem with South Africa and corruption, Reverend, I don't know if you'd agree, is that it's far more endemic than the high-profile cases, because it starts as low as the bribery of traffic police and goes all the way up to multi-million rand tender agreements.
Correct. I think we have to, as South Africans, we ought to own up, and that's why I think as a campaign we're saying every South African ought to be a part of the war on corruption, because it isn't as if you can isolate a few people in the political class or even the business elite. I think it goes all the way down to the ground. I mean, there are communities that will not pay the electricity, for example, and in that way play their part in bankrupting Eskom, for example. And the same as you've said with regard to the traffic, even in the police. I mean, there are people who know how to make dockets disappear in police stations, which all of these things put together mean that as South Africans we are in a crisis that is really something that all of us ought to act together. And that's why the theme of this campaign that for this particular week that is heightened on this day of International Anti-Corruption Day is really that every South African ought to unite in the war against corruption. That the whistleblowers should multiply all across our sectors, so that people who know or see something that is corrupt shouldn't sit with that information. They should call the special investigating unit and have people reported. And only in that way, if all of us become whistleblowers in our own spheres of influence, can we hope that there will be justice done to the perpetrators of this.
Reverend Moss Ntlha from Defend Our Democracy, great to have your time today, Reverend. Thank you.